What's happening, everyone? Welcome back for another episode of the Chamber Podcast. My name is Rob Johnson. I am super jazzed about the guest today. I've been looking forward to this for a couple of months now since this came on my radar. Joining me in the studio today is George Moses, owner and founder of the George Moses Company, better known as the Marketeer. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you, Rob. It's good to be here.
I'm glad you're here. I am genuinely excited about you being here because when I first moved into Brighton, I get names thrown at me all the time, people that have been in the community for a long time and just kind of stories that people tell me. And your name has come up the most. People have really resonated with the work that you've done. And as I've explored more of your body of work and seeing that you've been here for, celebrating your 50th year as of Q4 of last year, is that right?
That's right.
And just with that, it's amazing that, 50 years local. So I want to dive into all the stories. We won't have time for, we won't have time for a 4-hour show, but I definitely want to dive into your background, the Marketeer, and then just kind of talk about you and what you like to do and just kind of dive more into this business. That sound good?
It sounds great.
Excellent. So George, just go ahead and give me a brief background of who you are, your background, and then how this came about.
Well, I went to Michigan State. That's how I got into advertising. I studied communication arts, graduated in 1964, back in the Duffy Doherty days. And my first job was at the State Journal as a graphic artist doing designs of advertising for 17 full-time salespeople that fanned out over the Lansing area and sold every kind of advertising. And then I came to Livingston County. In 1966, I joined the staff of the Livingston County Press when it was a small country weekly. It was the most fun job I ever had, calling on all the retailers and car dealers. And I went to work for a few other newspapers, before I came back to Livingston County and started my own business. It's funny, I was just driving through Brighton on a hot August day in 1971. I stopped at the Dairy Queen, and out there there was a picnic table right by the street, right on the curb in front of the Dairy Queen where you could sit there and eat your ice cream. And there were two realtors sitting there, and I used to call on them when I was at the newspaper, and I recognized them, and he said, "Hey, sit down." And they said, "George, if you'd start one of those real estate magazines, we'll advertise in it." And within 4 days, I had a dummy copy that I'd put together from pictures I pasted together, and I went around to about 12 real estate companies and said, "Do you think this is a good idea?" And they all said yes. So I started the Parade of Homes, which was a local real estate magazine, and we did that for about 38 years. And about 4 years after I started that, I started the Marketeer in 1974. And it was a local, it was an appliance dealership downtown Brighton, Big George's Home Appliance Mart. And I was doing a 32-page magazine for him every month. And he had 3 stores, one in Ann Arbor and another one in Ypsilanti. And I would mail 100,000 of these flyers for him every month. And they were pretty kind of nice. They were like the Marketeer, only it was all his stuff.
Yeah.
Washing machines, televisions. And the retailers on Main Street came to him and said, "Hey, can we advertise in your publication?" And he didn't want to get into the publishing business, so he called me. He said, "George, why don't you come up with some prices and go see these people and put out your own magazine, and I'll just be your biggest customer." So that got us off to a really nice start. In 71, we started the Parade of Homes, and in 74, the Marketeer started. And we're still going. It's now 2022, and we have 3 editions. One goes to Livingston County and covers the 7 zip codes here in Brighton, Howell, Hamburg, Lakeland, and Heartland. And then the other edition goes to South Lyon, New Hudson, and Whitmore Lake. And we're going to press Monday with our March issue. And things come to life in the spring. All the outdoor contractors start advertising, and the outdoor venues, the restaurants have their outdoor seating, and it gets more exciting in the spring. So I'm glad to see winter coming to an end right now.
Amen. Me too. I am tired of this weather. I was talking to my wife the other day, and you had mentioned that you're getting ready to take a little vacation, and I was thinking about just moving the whole company to Orlando. That was in my mind, just kind of get out of this. But George, what I find fascinating is that when you look at print and you talk to anybody that's in digital marketing, right? They talk about how print is starting to fade. Mm-hmm. And if anything, you guys have doubled down, and you guys have people that are excited and interested in that. So talk to me about the evolution of print marketing from 1971 to 2022. And what's that evolution been like?
Well, back in the 1970s and even in the 80s, you didn't have cell phones. Any phone you had was attached to the wall with a cord.
Yeah, big long cord.
Yeah,
could span the whole house.
And you didn't. You didn't even have fax machines until somewhere in the middle of that period. And so print media was all you had. Newspapers, other than television and radio. So, right now there's a bad headwind on newspapers. Local newspapers do pretty well if they keep the local news, and if they can get some support from their local advertisers. But the biggest problem is distribution. And getting everybody to have a copy of it is hard to do with the newspaper because it's a real paid medium. If you don't subscribe, you don't get it. A lot of that's true in digital too. You wanted to subscribe to a website or a newspaper, you can do that. I read the newspaper online every day, the Free Press. And we also get the local Daily Press and Argus at the office in print, and we can also look at that online. But the Marketeer goes to every home. We are mailing 73,000 copies every month. It's expensive. It doesn't matter how big or how thin it is, you still have to pay the same amount of postage.
Sure.
Melanie has to run down to the post office every month with a check for at least $12,000 or $13,000. Brighton Post Office, we're their biggest customer.
Wow.
But it guarantees it gets in every mailbox. I don't care if you live in a $2 million mansion or a trailer or an apartment. If you have a mailbox, you're going to get it. And we've done some research. The Circulation Verification Council, which is out of St. Louis, Missouri, does a research for us every year. It's expensive, but they call about 600 homes in this area to see if they get it, and they all get it. And do they keep it? Some people, they don't keep anything that comes in the mail free.
Yeah.
81% of them keep it for an average of 3 weeks.
So 81%?
Yeah, so you can go walk down any street in Livingston County and know that 8 out of 10 homes on that street have that Marketeer somewhere on a table, and they keep it for about 3 weeks, and then the next one's coming. So it's got shelf life.
Yeah.
It does get readership. 61% of our readers are women, and they make the decisions. I know without my wife, this economy wouldn't be as good as it is right now. She does a lot of shopping. They make a lot of the higher percentage of decisions on what to buy.
Absolutely.
And so we try to get as many retailers and contractors in there as possible, beauty salons, restaurants. And it's an ongoing competition, of course, with digital. A lot of people, that's the only thing they advertise is online. So it's not like it used to be where everybody was a potential customer, but we give the best service we can. We design their ads at no charge. They need photography, no charge. I'll even go out and do drone shots, no charge, whatever they need.
Wow.
And we have fun doing it. We have a great staff of skilled people. Our art director's been with us for almost 41 years.
Wow.
And we've got several of our other staff. There's 9 of us, and they've all been with us decades. Some of them have left to raise families, and then they came back. So you can see we enjoy working together like a family. So, at my age, I should be retired, but I'm just getting started. I'm having more fun than ever.
That's awesome. And I'm fascinated by this because this might take me a minute to articulate, but I'm curious on your thoughts on this. So obviously social media was one of the biggest culture changes in human history, right? People moving to the online platforms. Mm-hmm. And what I'm seeing, this is me, just kind of, some very subjective data. I am seeing people wanting a return to how things were before, which is much more community driven and less online driven. Have you seen that similar trend where people were rushing to online and now people are trying to find different avenues to be more community based than they were before?
Well, yeah, there's a place for both.
Sure.
Heck, I'm online a lot. I enjoy social media. We have a Facebook page for our company. We also have one for me, and my wife has one, and we like to see what people are saying.
Yeah.
But some people take it too seriously. I mean, they think Twitter is the real world.
Yeah.
They can't wait to see what someone is going to say. But it's not local as much as something that is made right here in your hometown. If you look through there, it's all local people. You don't have the big box stores advertising with us. And the newspaper is local. They cover your school board meetings and your city council meetings. And a lot of people will read that online instead of actually going out and buying the paper. That's the problem. You got to pay your news staff to write this stuff.
Yeah.
And then people don't want to pay for the product that they print. We pay for the ability to read it online because we're subscribers. And I think people should subscribe to their local paper. And it is kind of comforting in the morning to get a cup of coffee, fill it up, sit there in your pajamas before you take a shower and shave, and read the paper. And we love to go out to the box and get the free press, bring it in. And trouble is now they only deliver it 3 days a week. And the rest of the day I have to have my laptop in my lap and I read it online. But hey, I love the sports section. That's probably the best bunch of journalism they do right now. And you're getting the truth when they put the statistics on the sports page.
That's fair, yeah.
Some of the other parts you think you're just getting opinion on a lot of stuff.
Yeah, there's no fake news in the box score.
No.
So I hear you. So it's an interesting thing. And George, I'm so happy that you're here and just kind of walking me through this. So obviously your building is pretty close to ours, nearly adjacent to it. And every morning, many mornings I come in and my staff talks about how beautiful that building is and how cool it is. 'Cause it's almost like a house. And when you talk about staff being there for 30, 40, 50 years, it's kind of fitting because you do have very much, it sounds like a very family-oriented atmosphere there.
Oh, we do. Everybody comes to work at 8:30 in the morning and they enjoy each other's company. We don't, in 40 years we've been in that building, it hasn't always been as nice as it is right now. We've got 9 people that all get along real well and they all support each other. If someone is sick, someone else will do their work. And they're happy to do that back and forth. And they can work from home too. This kind of work. We're highly digital in our building. We've got everything networked and everybody can use their phones and they can actually work from home to contact their clients. But yeah, that building, when we moved there, wasn't as nice as it is now. If you look at some of the gingerbread on it, you can thank Tom Coates. He's a home designer on Main Street. He was a builder back in the 80s, and he built the addition on the back. And when he did that, he ripped the old porches off, built new porches, and put all kinds of gingerbread because he loved Victorian buildings.
Yeah.
So he transformed that place and put a big addition on the back for our sales staff and our art staff. And the place is even more fun to be in now than it used to be.
That's cool. Well, it's nice to see how things evolve and as you have, every company has a brand, every company has kind of an identity. And as you do things longer and longer, your surroundings, the staff, and just the company culture starts to conform and match to that brand. And as you said, now it's, you have the nice, the intricate details on the outside of the building. And it's tremendous to see a business that's been around for 50 years and continue to pivot and change. And that was one of my questions for you is, what are some things that you didn't expect over the last 50 years that came up, and how did you pivot, or how did you change, and how did you move around those obstacles?
Well, some of the things that came up, of course, it seems like there's cycles in the economy. whether it's caused by COVID like this one is, or the big recession we had back in 2009, 2008. Those things keep coming along and hitting you in the forehead just when you're really, everything's going smooth. So, one of the things you have to do is put a kind of a nest egg somewhere in a, that's liquid where you can get some money. My wife is good at that. She doesn't know how to handle money. She saves it. She puts it away,
Yeah.
And so when we get into these downturns like this, when your customers are all hurting and they can't spend a lot of money on our product, and we have to kind of step up and raid the piggy bank,
Yeah.
and keep the business running smooth. And when things are good, then everybody's happy, and we're sharing everything with our employees, and our customers are advertising, and everybody's happy. And I think we're starting to come back to that point right now. I see people taking those masks off and getting outside and enjoying themselves again, and restaurants are starting to be full.
Yeah.
And that makes me really happy because I want to see everybody smiling.
Yeah. Well, it's been a long 2 years, certainly. And I know for, some people like myself, I've been in a pandemic in my business more than I haven't been. And that's an odd feeling to be like, well, I wonder what a fully functional economy looks like in the context of a business, and it's a unique thing to have gone through this. And it's definitely conditioned, speaking for me as a business owner, to figure out, well, I can get through that, so hopefully, as you said, that this is, we're teetering on the end of this.
Well, it's been 2 years,
Yeah.
almost exactly, because in March of 2020, we were in Grand Cayman on a vacation. We were out there snorkeling away and having a good time. We left here on March 7th, and we came home on the 21st. Well, guess what happened on the 23rd, 2 days later?
Right.
They shut down the whole state. I mean, they said, you got to stay home. Now, luckily, we are a communications business, and they allowed communication business to stay open. But your customers are what keeps you afloat. And
Right.
a lot of our customers were just kind of dead in the water for a while. So that's what I was saying. We still have to operate, and we did. And we're so happy right now to see people starting to get back in the saddle and work again.
Yeah. It's nice. Obviously, I'm involved with the chamber podcast, so it's nice to see the amount of ribbon cuttings going up and the amount of new businesses that are coming into town, and the diversity of the businesses, like the different types, and it's cool to see that forming around the downtown area and to a greater extent all around Livingston County. It's nice to see businesses wanting to move here and set up shop.
Oh, it's the most welcoming community I've ever been in. You don't have to live here for 50 years to be welcomed into the community. It might take a year or two. I know the chamber is one of the best advocates for business. You can't do enough for the chamber because it all returns to you because of their support.
Absolutely.
We're members of the Brighton Chamber, but also the Howell Chamber, the Heartland Chamber, and the South Lyon Chamber, because we circulate our product in all those areas. And I've served on their boards of directors, and we try to sponsor things when we can. And I try to talk people into doing that. Go over there and volunteer. You'll be welcomed. If you want to serve on their board of directors, hey, they're pretty happy to welcome you for that too, if they have an opening.
Yeah. It's a tremendously close community, and that's what I've learned in being here just over 2 years now, is that it's something that is that I didn't think would be this easy to find, when you move into a community. And then you mentioned, people being welcoming, and it's just tremendous to see the amount of support that everyone has in this county specifically. So as you look at, let's say the next 5 years, what's on the horizon for the Marketeer and for the George Moses Company? What are you excited about? What's new, and maybe not just new, but what's coming up that gets you excited?
Well, I'm excited about seeing new businesses come in the community so we can go and work with them to help them with their marketing. We don't want to help them with all their marketing, but our part of it can be very productive and very reasonably priced.
Absolutely.
I expect us to be doing what we're doing now probably for another 5 years. I've never had anybody walk in the door and say, hey, I got a checkbook. How much do you want for your business? And we're in good health. We're working, and we play hard, too. I'm a bicyclist. I do in a good year, about 1,000 miles. And there's a group of us that meet in the mornings before we go to work at Kensington Park, and we ride around Kent Lake. It's about 10 and a half miles, and it only takes us 45 minutes, and we're on our way home right at sunrise, 6 o'clock, 6:30 in the morning. And that's, there's different things we do as hobbies, and Livingston County is a great place for that. The other thing is volunteer. We like to volunteer for things. And people in this area are very highly motivated to help each other. You can look around and you see Rotary clubs, you see Optimist clubs, the Lions and the Kiwanis. They put on those concerts on the mill pond in the summer. And these people all do it out of the goodness of their heart. They're not doing it to make a lot of money. They're trying to help people and benefit the community. And if you work to help your community, whether you're still working or whether you're retired, you can be a force for good. And when you help make your community better, it benefits you too, because you're living in it. And
Right.
I recommend that very highly.
Now, there's always a byproduct, and that's why I always encourage people to get involved with the chamber, get involved with, whether it's the Rotary or just, any local effort that's going on. Because when you do that, when you take those steps, as you said, you make the community better, and that does nothing but benefit you and the people within that.
Yeah, if you're not busy on a Tuesday at lunch, come on over to Brighton Rotary Club. I'll buy you lunch.
There you go.
You can meet a lot of the local people there.
Excellent. It's a standing order. So you're going to be get a couple hundred people over there, George. That's a pretty big check you have to write for that lunch.
No,
Get them standing room only over there.
It works out real well. We'd love to have you.
That's excellent. So George, I'm just curious. So as a business owner, if someone came to you and said, all right, George, I want to be a part of the Marketeer. I want to advertise my business. I want to get out there. What kind of process do you work through? What does that look like for the business to have that talk with you or your team?
Right now, our team, we have a sales staff of 4 women that are local. They love the community. They'll come out to your business, write down everything you want. You could take that information that you have of your business, give it to us, and they'll turn it into our art department, and they'll work it into something really nice. I always joke with my art director, I can scribble something on a brown paper bag and give it to her, and she'll turn it into a work of art, of marketing. And we help, whether they want to put something in our magazine or they want to print up an insert that they want to put in there, we'll have it printed for them. And, a lot of people will do their own mailings. I try to advise them, hey, let us put something in there that's an insert, a separate piece, something that would cost you 16.5 cents a piece to mail. Would charge only 3.5 cents to put it in the magazine, and it sticks out. People pull it out and read it. So it gets into every mailbox.
Yeah.
But we have a lot of fun working with our customers because a lot of them have a good sense of humor. And if they do, we can do some real creative advertising for them.
That's cool. And I imagine it's an ever-changing environment, the way that, it probably never gets stagnant because there's always new businesses coming into the mix. There's always new creative to write. There's always new art to make. So that has to be exciting.
And I've never been an advocate of free publications. Back when I was in the newspaper business, we used to laugh at them and call them throwaways. Well, I thought when we started our throwaway, said, let's make it so it's not thrown away.
Yeah.
And you'll never see an ad on the front cover. That's the reason. People have offered us a lot of money to put an ad on the front cover, and we said, no, that's a packaging decision. We want it to be attractive. And so when it's laying there on the table, it's not shouting at them with some big grocery ad or a tire ad or something like that. They can find it on the inside. There's an index, and that's why it stays in the home for so long.
Yeah. So George, we have the Valentine's Day, the February 2022 edition out in on your camera here. So Tori, I'll have you pop back over to George, and I'll just narrate this. But so, is there a story behind that cover? I'm just curious how that was created, how these covers come to fruition.
Well, we buy some of this artwork from Adobe.
Okay.
We have an account with them, and then often we will do our own photography. We've used Richard Lim in Howell, who's a great photographer, and he covers an awful lot of local events. And some months when there's something big going on, like a art festival or something, we'll say, "Hey, Rich, you got a good picture from last year's event," or the Melon Fest, or the Balloon Festival in June. So we try to make it something that's kind of topical. And this month we had didn't really have anything of our own that we created, so we bought this picture off of Adobe.
That's cool.
And it's high quality stuff. So
absolutely,
we try to make this thing look like a high quality magazine, even though it's a freebie. We don't want it to look like a freebie. We want it to look like something that they want to hold on to.
And the data that you had given was fantastic. 81% of households hold on to it for a 3-week period. I'm sorry. It was
81% of them don't throw it away.
Don't throw it away. They have the 3
on the way into the house with it after they go to the mailbox.
No, and that kind of speaks to that whole thing, and that there's a mind behind that. And one thing that you said that really resonated with me is that when you look at these covers, and I have one sitting here in front of me, it's not an advertisement. There's no ad. It's inviting. It's something that people would want to pick up, and that's smart. It's smart that there's thought into how this is put together, and that has shown itself in the data.
What's also helpful is we've been around for so long. They've been receiving this month after month. The Saturday closest to the first of the month, they know it's coming in the mail, and that sort of thing. It's familiar to them, and they feel good about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's kind of humbling to know that people like your product. But
no, it's tremendous. And George, you got a huge reputation in town, and that's why I was so pumped for this episode. But I have one new segment I've been rolling out. So this is 3 questions I'm asking to all business owners that come on the show. So the first question is, what is one piece of advice that you would give to an entrepreneur that's starting out, starting their own show, starting their own company?
Well, the first thing you need to do is find out what the people that you're trying to serve, what they want, and provide it. If you make a promise to people of what you're producing for them, keep your promise, and give them the quality that they expect. If not, make it up to them. If I had a nickel for every ad I've given away because we had a mistake or something that didn't make them happy, I'd be fabulously wealthy. But we try to make people happy with what you're doing. Make sure what you're producing is what they want. Because if you produce something that nobody cares about, find out first if there's a desire for your publication. And I found that out without really knowing I was looking for it when I stopped at the Dairy Queen 50 years ago. Yeah. And on the second time, I wasn't looking to start the Marketeer. It was a phone call I got from George Simon at Big George's Home Appliance saying, "Hey, I don't want to get in the publishing business. These customers are already out there looking for something. Go give it to them." It wasn't something, listen to those knocks that come onto your door, and open the door and welcome them in if there's something that fits your lifestyle. And that's just what I did.
That's tremendous advice. All right, George, the second question is, what is one way that you unwind, one way you decompress, a hobby that you might have, something along those lines?
Well, I think the biggest thing I do to de-stress and good for my health is bicycling.
Yeah.
Doing that ride, we do Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, that ride around Kent Lake. In the wintertime, no. We do it beginning in April and through the end of October.
I don't blame you.
But and then every summer in August, I do a 400-mile bicycle ride up the Lake Michigan shoreline. It's called the Shoreline West Bicycle Tour. It's put on by the League of Michigan Bicyclists, and I've done that for 33 years in a row. until they canceled it in 2020 and they canceled it in 2021. But guess what? I'm signed up for this year.
Excellent.
And I'm 79 years old, so me riding 60 miles a day, I wouldn't be able to do it if I hadn't been doing it all these years.
Sure.
And it's just pure fun. That's my biggest thing that I do to unstress. And my wife and I love to travel, and we like to go where it's warm. Like we're going to be in a couple of weeks, we're going to Grand Cayman, where we'll be doing a little bit of snorkeling and sightseeing and just reading a few novels together, not doing anything. You know, there's a couple of these nice chairs out by the beach, and I make a rum and Coke for each of us. So we go out there and read our novels. The rum and Coke is empty. I go back in and make us another one and come back out. And we just enjoy being together alone and or with other friends.
Yeah, that sounds excellent. That's a good way to spend a vacation. Rum and Coke on the beach reading. So, all right. Question number 3 is, what is your favorite piece of technology?
Well, right now, I'm thinking it's probably that drone I fly around in. I don't fly in it, but it's, you know, you're sitting there with a little video on your controller and doing all kinds of really beautiful photography. And the technology that's built into those things, you don't have to be a really highly skilled pilot. If you let go of the controls, it'll just hover there forever because it knows where it is. And if a big gust of wind comes, it'll fight that gust of wind to stay in its position because the GPS is locked into about 18 satellites, and it's not going to move. It'll just, you know, tilt its way into the wind and stay there. So you can do some beautiful photography. It's like it's on a tripod. It's so steady up there. And that's what really blows me away is the amount of technology built into that little thing. Or your cell phone. You know, you look at that thing, there's more technology in that cell phone than there was in the computers on the first trip they took to the moon.
Yeah.
You know, if you ever saw Apollo 13, you could see, remember all the computers were soaking wet because they had to shut everything down and the, you know, to start them back up, they were wondering if it was going to be a big short because of all the moisture in all the circuits because they had to turn all the air conditioning off because to save the batteries. And but now in your pockets you have something that's a color TV camera, lots of memory to take pictures. The thing you do the least with a cell phone is talk on it.
Right.
You do so much other work with it.
Absolutely. And you almost get mad when people call you. You're like, why are you calling me on this thing?
Yeah. It's an interruption.
Yeah, I'm trying to do Twitter.
Well, I got mine on Do Not Disturb right now. I don't want it ringing while you're interviewing me.
No, I agree. I think the phone is one of the biggest marvels. You have so many different tools in one device, and it's one of those things that I think a large majority of people, myself included, probably take for granted. You know, of how amazing, you know, this one piece of tech actually is. You know.
Yeah, and it's a great camera too.
Yeah, that's the other thing too, is, you know, you can use DSLRs, and we obviously, you know, being a media company, we spend a ton of money on cameras, but there are some times when I'm just like, well, I'm just going to use my iPhone, you know, and, you know, in a pinch, it's not a bad option. So,
Well, today I was at Rotary, and one of our members is down in Florida, and she wanted to watch our speaker today, and she says, can you stream that meeting? So, yeah, so I took my phone and I just went on Facebook and hit go live, and I streamed it, and she watched the whole meeting down in Florida.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's tremendous. So George, the website, if people want to learn more, is themarketeer.biz. And what's the best way for them to contact you if they want to do some business, learn more about how to advertise with you guys?
Well, they can just go to, just give us a call. I mean, if you get the Marketeer, our phone number and everything's on the front cover, but you can find all our information on themarketeer.biz or georgemosesco.com.
Perfect.
It's got all the contact information. It's got our story. It's got our whole recent publication online, so you can page through the pages and look through the index if you're searching for something. And we welcome all. Come to just knock on our door, 110 East North Street if you like. We'll make you a cup of coffee.
That's excellent.
Might even have some wine in the refrigerator.
Good deal. That sounds like a plan. So 110 East North Street.
Yes, it's right around the corner from your office.
Very good. Rosé will be chilled.
Yes.
So excellent. George, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. It's really a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. So friends, that is going to wrap up this week's edition of the Chamber Podcast. I really appreciate you taking the time to listen. If you want to know anything and everything about what we talked about today, just check out the show notes. All of George's websites for the Marketeer, the George Moses Company, everything's going to be linked up in there. Highly encourage you to check them out if you're in the Livingston County area. If you're in any area that they canvass with their publication, it's definitely worth a look. Thanks so much for watching. We'll catch you on the next episode. Take care.